Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our virtual roadshow of Vizsla Resources. And with me here is Michael Konnert, the CEO. Welcome and good morning, Michael, to Vancouver. How are you?
Well, thank you, Jochen. I'm glad to be here. I'm doing well, and yeah, I'm excited to talk about Vizsla today.
Fantastic. Great. Thank you very much for taking the time. Sorry that we have been shortly a little bit late, some minutes. There was a little bit of a technical hiccup, but we solved everything and now we are on here. So we just see people checking in still. We give it another minute. First of all, as you know, my name is Jochen Steiger. I'm the founder and CEO of Swiss Resource Capital and also Commodity TV and Rohstoff-TV. And yeah, we are fully complying to European and Swiss data security laws, so nobody can see each other. And nobody can really, see the email addresses nor anything else. Please use the chat function, which is the third button in the vertical gray column, to put in your questions right afterwards. When Michael has presented, we want to have a lively Q&A as always. And yeah, thank you very much for really participating and taking the time. I think we're going to start now. I will put up the presentation here. And Michael, I would say the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Jochen. I appreciate the opportunity here. I understand that there are some shareholders that are probably listening, and some new audience that may be hearing this story for the first time. So I think what I'll probably do is aim to explain, the opportunity at hand here, as well as what we're doing in order to delineate the resources needed to enter into production here shortly. So a little bit of background on Vizsla. It's a company that I started back in 2017. And in 2018, we took it through the IPO process. And in 2019, we made a significant acquisition of the Panuco District in Mexico. This year has been transformative, as we have made brand new discovery at the Napoleon Zone. Now, of course, I'll be making forward-looking statements here, so please take the time to read our disclaimer if you have some time in the future. So Vizsla's vision is to become a low-cost, high-margin producer of silver and gold in Mexico on a large scale. We're working with an excellent team to delineate high-grade precious metals resources at the Panuco District, and following this, we will move the project into production, utilizing the excellent infrastructure at site. We endeavored to do this through a safe and healthy environment for our team and the local communities that we work in. Now, this is very important, obviously, during the COVID pandemic.
Pandemic, yeah.
Opportunity, but we've strived to make an excellent amount of progress for the team there and the community, and I'm proud to say that the team that we have at the project is very proactive in creating a very safe community, and for the Ejidos and local communities that we work with, as well as a team that we have at site. So we've taken this very seriously, and we've been, in my opinion, one of the leading companies in Mexico when it comes to the safety. Now, Vizsla is a relatively new company, as I mentioned. Started in 2017, a fresh IPO in 2018. But 2019, as I mentioned, was the initial year that we came out with the project. But as you can see on the share chart here, the summer of 2020 was really an inflection moment for the company. We went from trading around 35 to 40 cents a share, up to almost $3 a share Canadian, on the back of one of Mexico's highest grade discoveries in many years. And so we're very, very proud of that discovery, and proud of the performance after that. Typically when you see discoveries in publicly traded companies like Great Bear or Silvercrest, other well-known large high-grade discoveries, there is a period where the share price spikes and it falls off as it consolidates moving forward. So looking at the share chart of Vizsla now, we see that there's significant opportunity to enter into the stock at a reasonable price, I would say actually it's important noting that our last placement that we did was with three major funds and several other institutions, but three major cornerstone investors, and the chief of which is Eric Sprott, and he entered into the story at $1.87. Currently, we're trading underneath that at about $1.71, $1.72 today. So there's an opportunity to, at least for now, come into the stock at a price that's lower than Eric Sprott. So it's a great opportunity right now. We raised in the summer, we raised $30 million, and currently we have about $30 million in the bank. So we're very well funded for our activities, and that gives us a market cap of around $140 million today. Now the Panuco District is kind of an interesting district to describe, in the sense that it's an advanced producing district, one that you would see, elsewhere in Mexico that, would typically be in the hands of a major or a large producer. But it's odd in the sense that it's never really been systematically explored. And, the project really has never seen any significant drilling. As a matter of fact, we're the first group to have come to the project and created a geology map. So it's really an odd asset, and it's been in production for about 450 years through various cycles, various wars, various states of the country of Mexico. So it's it really is a historic project. Now, the three major things that I always like to talk about, and the three major takeaways when I talk about Vizsla that I think are important, are the grade, the size, and the pathway to production. Touching on the size first, Panuco has over 75 kilometers of total vein extent. It's a massive district. These are the veins that we know about. Of course, we're adding new veins as we go along and make new discoveries. It also has a 35-kilometer tract of underground mines throughout the project. And I'll touch on the grade here shortly, but the pathway to production is encompassed by 500 ton per day mill, operating permits, AHITO agreements, all the things that a company would need to move into production very rapidly in Mexico. And that's something that is our goal. Now, another thing to point out as well is that the project is very well infrastructured. It sits in a trend of large silver mines that run through the Sierra Madre Mountains. The most proximate one is the San Dimas mine, which is owned by First Majestic Silver. That's doing about 10 million ounces of silver equivalent a year. It's a very large mine. Again, on those three major points of size, grade, and pathway to production, this is a great way to demonstrate the scale of the project. And hopefully it's visible, but this is what we've done here, is taken the vein field, the Panuco vein field, to scale and overlaid it over major cities around the world. So on the top left, you can see Vancouver. If any of you have been to Vancouver, it spans basically across the entire area of Vancouver. To the right of that is the island of Manhattan. It essentially covers the island of Manhattan. London in the bottom left, and Hong Kong on the bottom right. So it's it shows that it is truly a massive district. And again, talking about the advancement, the kind of the paradox that it's an advanced producing district, but all of these veins, only one and two have been seriously drilled, and we're the first company to actually go across and explore all of these veins in any type of depth there. Another way to explain the size of the Panuco district is to show how it compares to other major districts in Mexico. And this is one of my favorite slides because I think it shows what's possible with the district, or at least the amount of silver that it may contain. And that's our goal to find. So in the top left, we see Panuco at $140 million market cap, compared to the First Majestic mine owned by the San Dimas mine owned by First Majestic, the Zacatecas silver field owned by Fresnillo, the Fresnillo silver field owned by Fresnillo, Guanajuato, and because it's very topical, Silvercrest Las Chispas. One thing that you'll notice is this is all on a 5-kilometer scale bar. You'll notice that the vein field compares very favorably to the rest of these multi-billion-dollar fields. And looking at Silvercrest, you can see that actually we can fit about 7 Silvercrests inside of our vein field. So it's just it's a very, very large opportunity here. And how Vizsla came to hold this opportunity when clearly it would fit, in the hands of a major, is that over the modern history of the Panuco District, it's been held by small local mining families, and these mining families have been notoriously difficult to deal with. They're groups that really did not want to sell this, but I was lucky. We went down there, and I say I was lucky because silver was at a depressed price level. They weren't making as much as they had been from their mines, and that gave us an opportunity to have a conversation with them to create that relationship. And so over a year, I was flying back and forth from Vancouver to Mexico, and over a year, we finally was able to pull these 2 mining families and their holdings together under one umbrella, which is Vizsla, and create several option agreements that give us the ability to consolidate the district and to move into production very rapidly. And so this diagram here shows the two mining families. The diagonal hash there is Silverstone, which is the larger exploration ground, and the orange is Rio Panuco, the name of the mining company, and that is the ground that we have the mill under option, as well as the Napoleon discovery, which is one of Mexico's highest grade discoveries in many years. So when we arrived to the district, as I mentioned, it had been completely underexplored, and we had a task ahead of us, essentially, to move forward and to sample and map and generate new targets for drilling. And what we're looking at here is a sampling map that shows the high-grade nature of the district, but also shows the initial work that we did in order to generate the targets for drilling. And you can see, again, the size. This is only one portion of the district, but 6 kilometers between the Animus vein corridor, which is the most developed area, which we'll look at shortly, and then our new discovery, Napoleon. And in between, there's countless veins that can be explored. But what we did was we did that hardcore, early prospecting, that walking up the side of mountains, walking to veins, mapping, sampling, getting an idea for the old workings in the area. And once we did that, that led us to these 3 main areas of focus. Of course, our high-grade discovery is at Napoleon, but we have done some drilling here at Animus. And Animus is the center of the historic mining. It's a very developed ore chute, or I should say vein corridor with multiple ore chutes. But it does offer an interesting opportunity because there's been no development underneath the water table. Now, Cordon de Oro is an analog to Animus, and it's undrilled up until recently when we started drilling there, and we're very excited about our drilling here. But looking at this map here, what I'd like to essentially demonstrate is the pathway for us to build resources at Panuco, and that really starts with the Napoleon vein corridor. Let me just jump ahead here. And just show you what Napoleon looks like. It's a 2-kilometer vein corridor where we've made several high-grade discoveries and are drilling currently 2 ore chutes on Napoleon. However, we've generated 2 other new ore chute targets as well on Napoleon. So that has the potential to be a 2-kilometer long stretch of ore chutes that we believe contain anywhere from 10 to 40 million ounces of silver in each ore chute. So, we're looking at Napoleon as the driver of the initial resources across the district. Now, I should mention, of course, we do have 5 drill rigs turning. We are very active. We'll be doing about 31,000 meters to the end of the year in drilling. So very active in drilling in this district. We've moved the fifth drill rig, the most recent drill rig we've added to the project, we've moved it to the Tajitos area here, where we have intersected some very high grade silver and gold recently, talking about four meters at over a kilo silver, a number of high grade hits across the district. So, we're actively drilling this Napoleon area. And as I mentioned, the 2 kilometer strike length is significant because if you remember going back to this slide here, the Animus area here, this is the most developed area. Looking at the 3.5 kilometers that encompass the ore chutes along Animus, and the ore chutes themselves with the underground workings. We look at this and we don't have any historic production records for Panuco. But looking at other similar areas in Mexico and looking at the void spaces, one could estimate that there could be in excess of 100 million ounces of silver that have come out of this 3.5 kilometer long stretch with the 8 ore chutes on it. Now, the reason I say that is because that demonstrates the potential for a system like this to hold multiple ore chutes that have significant resources in them over a relatively short strike length. So it's 3.5 kilometers, and if you recall, we have over 75 kilometers of total strike in the district. Now, going back to Napoleon, looking at this 2 kilometer stretch, as I mentioned, we've identified 4 ore chutes so far along Napoleon, but I think we'll be able to discover more at that area as well. And this is what that ore chute looks like. This is a section of our original that started because of our original discovery at Napoleon. So that was hole number 2 here. I know it's a bit of a psychedelic image, but I'll point out some highlights here. And these are true widths. So we have just under 5 meters at 1.8 kilograms of silver equivalent. If you recall, my 3 major points being size, the second point being grade. This is the grade section here. So this is some of the highest grade silver mineralization in Mexico, and some excellent intercepts here. So am I able to mark this up? Because
I'm doing that, yeah.
So this is that original hole. Sorry, yeah. I'll leave it to you then. Mm-hmm. That original hole here, hole 2, 4.9 meters, 1.8 kilograms of silver equivalent. But the hole that really changed everything for us, and the hole that we were able to go and raise $30 million from Eric Sprott and other great funds, was this hole number 7. So originally, before the true width estimate, that was a 6 meter hole at over 8 kilograms of silver equivalent. So that was 1.8 kilograms of silver, 2 ounces of gold. So there's high gold content in here, as well as very good credits of base metals as well, lead and zinc. But estimating the true width here, we see this as over 3 meters of 8 kilograms of silver. So this is very close to surface as well. So that's great. But recent drilling has also shown that this high grade mineralization exists at depth as well, and is really quite encouraging. So the deepest holes that we've drilled in at the Napoleon ore chute have been fantastic. So hole 25, 15 meters, very broad width here, 15 meters of 449. So basically half a kilo silver equivalent over 15 meters. That's fantastic. Hole 27 here, 2.5 meters at 1.69 kilograms of silver equivalent. Again, these very high grades at depth. Now, this is over 250 meters, but in the shallow areas, we also have that high grade as well. So again, when I talk about the pathway to 10 to 20 to 30 to 40 million ounces of silver in ore chute, Napoleon is off to a good start there. The other thing that's interesting and exciting about Napoleon is the potential here for an open pit scenario, which obviously drops the cost of mining significantly, and it creates these massively profitable little deposits here, including like the 3 meters at 8 kilos. I mean, if you can open pit that's exceptionally profitable. Now again, this is this area here, the Inlier. This is that area, but we've traced mineralization here, here, and at the southern point of Napoleon. So the potential for there to be multiple Napoleon ore shoots is certainly there. And then again, about half a kilometer away, we've started drilling at Tajitos. So just in this area alone, I think there's a pathway to significant resources at Napoleon. And so I'm just going to jump back to the area map here. So zooming back out to the district as a whole, and maybe I'll even just to give an idea of where we're looking at as well. So this is over here on the western portion of the district. The Animus vein corridor, the most developed one, is here towards the east. This is the western portion, and right in the middle is that Cordon de Oro vein corridor, which we believe is an analog to the Animus vein. Now there's countless veins, to the east up here down to the southwest. There's significant opportunities for us to generate new targets, and we do have a team of about 20 geologists and helpers that are doing that classic prospecting across the district in order to generate new targets, new opportunities for us to build those ore shoots that for us, we're looking for 10 to 40 million ounce ore shoots across the district. Now, with 3 rigs in the Napoleon area, 2 at Napoleon proper, 1 at Tajitos here, we also have 2 rigs at the Cordon de Oro vein corridor. So right in the center, we're drilling an old vein called Aguazaca, and that's actually been something that's been quite interesting for us. That vein intersects the main vein corridor, and we've been chasing that down at depth. We believe that that's some high risk, high reward drilling there. So we'll see what comes out of that. But I could, if we are able to make a new discovery there with high grade, that'll offer the potential to scale up resources very rapidly. And towards the southern end of the vein corridor here, we've just mobilized another drill rig, so we'll be testing this area as well. Again, another opportunity for brand new discovery at the district. Now, we only really started drilling in January of 2020. We got a few months of drilling under our belt before we needed to basically stop for the COVID, the pandemic shutdown there. And so we took that shutdown, and we went away and took what we learned from drilling in the first few months and from our exploration prospecting in the first few months. We were able to take that time and come up with a plan that allowed us to move our rigs over to Napoleon and do some of the higher priority drilling and discovery there. And so that was really a fantastic opportunity for us to learn more about the district and come back. And when we did return, we were able to make that excellent discovery. Now I think, and that was in April, May that we started drilling. The discovery was announced in June and July, and for us to have accomplished so much in that short period of time, I think there's going to be more discoveries in this district, certainly in 2021, as we're working towards a significant drill program that will focus on those areas that I've just described, as well as the 10 new targets that are being generated. So again, such a large district. The potential for high grade, the evidence of high grade across the district, the proof that we can make high grade discoveries there, and then going forward, a huge drill program next year that'll generate new targets and hopefully new discoveries. So looking to finish off 2020, we have 31,000 meters of drilling planned. That's into the end of the year here. Again, 5 rigs turning. A budget from July to December, we've expected to spend about $7 million, ending the year off with well over $25 million in the bank, which will allow us to execute our plans next year. Now, if you remember, I commented on three major takeaways: the size, the grade, of course, the potential for discovery. And the final point here is this pathway to production, or the way that, Vizsla can take a district like this, consolidate it, make these discoveries, build resources, but we're not stuck with, having to build a mine or having to get permitted, things like that. We can move so quickly into production, faster than our peer group in exploration companies, due to the unique nature of this option agreement that we have. So as I mentioned at the beginning, we have a 500 ton per day mill under option. We have power to that mill. We have a tailings facility. The option even includes rolling stock, all the mining equipment, down to the office chair at the mine office. So it's really an all-encompassing option. And we have to make some payments towards that, but those aren't due until 2022. And a matter of fact, they're actually quite affordable payments. Now, I would suggest that what we'd like to do is build a resource, understand the size of the resource that we have, and then exercise the option to move into production very rapidly. So this option gives us flexibility on that. It gives us the ability to wait if we'd like to, but it also gives us the right to purchase all of this for $23 million. Now, $23 million prior to our discovery seemed like a lot of money. And in addition to that $23 million, we also have a $20 million option with the same time frame for the rest of the exploration ground around Rio Panuco. But for $23 million, we can buy the mill, we can buy the Napoleon vein corridor, we can buy a number of our discoveries and move into production very rapidly. Now, whether or not we decide to exercise that $20 million option on Silverstone, that would be likely as we continue to be comfortable with the opportunity here and the size of the discovery potential. But for $43 million in total, a company like Vizsla, we're able now, on the back of a major discovery, to jumpstart that permitting, to jumpstart that construction phase, and really buy out that, if you're familiar with the Pierre-Lassonde curve, buy out that valley of despair and go directly into production. Now, I think the effects of that on a share price, or the effects of that on the success of a company, is very significant. It's not, I don't think it's something to be taken lightly. So in addition to that size that we have, the grade, this pathway to production is really the differentiator between Vizsla and other new discoveries. And I am confident that we'll be able to exercise those options and move into production. And the reason that I am confident about this really comes down to the team that we've assembled here at Vizsla. So some of you may be familiar with Craig Perry. He's the chairman of our company, but he's also the chairman of Skeena Resources, one of the founders of EMR Capital. You may know him from ISO Energy as well. But he and I are business partners. Craig and I actually teamed up in, I suppose it was 2017, and we built a cobalt company. He backed me to build a cobalt company, which we sold to an Australian listed company very quickly. A few days after selling that, I kind of went out and incorporated Vizsla to find our, to house our new opportunity. And as it turned out, this Panuco project became our new opportunity. And so we've been working on this for several years now. Simon Smirlik, who is our director at Vizsla, is someone that we come to frequently for advice, and he's actually an excellent person to have on the board when it comes to production and mine building, because he's the chief operating officer of one of the world's best mine building companies, Ausenco Engineering. So having Simon as a resource to look at how do we build this best, how do we move from exploration into development and construction, production, that he's one of the best people in the world for this company to have on the board. And Stuart Smith is a PhD geologist, most recently running the global copper business for Teck Resources. He has since retired, and he helps us significantly on understanding the geology and the opportunities for adding new resources at Panuco. And Charles Funk has been instrumental in ensuring, as Vice President of Exploration, ensuring the success of Vizsla in Mexico. He spent a number of years there with Evrim, Newcrest, and he spent years with Oz Minerals as well. Charles is a young but very accomplished geologist that that is really making a name for himself in Mexico, and we're very pleased to have him running our exploration. So, in conclusion, Vizsla offers an immense opportunity here to capture discovery, development, and production of silver and gold in one company. And the three main takeaways and the way that we're going to get there is through grade. As I've demonstrated, the grade that we have at Panuco is spectacular. The size of the district compares favorably to Mexico's largest silver camps. It's the size of the island of Manhattan. And we have this pathway to production that that really differentiates us from other discovery stories. So I think it's got to be one of the most exciting silver stories in Mexico and available for investment these days here. So thank you for taking the time to listen to the presentation, and happy to answer any questions as well.
Super, perfect. Michael, thank you very much. And let me see here in the chat function. We have a lot of questions here already. First of all, before we go inside the company, there's one question that you had the share price high was 293. Now the share price dropped to 170. Any specific reasons on that, or was it just like a little bit of a consolidation because the share price went a little bit too far north, maybe, and you couldn't keep up the speed with all the news and everything?
I think there's a couple of things. If you remember during that time, that was the height of junior mining, and mining gold price was moving. It was really an exciting time so we had a bit of momentum that came from the metal prices, certainly. And we came out with that hole, which was the 6 meters at 8 kilos silver, such a high grade hole. I think there was a portion of the market that was expecting us to repeat that hole shortly afterwards. Now, it was great luck that we were able to initially do that on our seventh hole back from the COVID break, but for us to go and continually drill 8 kilo numbers across the district, I think wasn't necessarily realistic. And so as it became apparent that it was going to take a few more holes to make these multi kilo, nearly 8+ kilo discoveries, I think reality set in a little bit. So the company, certainly has the room to move back up to that level, and I believe far higher as we continue to develop. But we are drilling Napoleon now. We're going to be drilling. We are drilling Tajitos, Cordon de Oro, and we have 10 other targets that are working in the background. So the potential for us to make that discovery again at this level is certainly there. And I think as we continue to do this good work and develop the project, the share price will move back in that direction.
Absolutely. And also it's a great opportunity to grab cheaper some stock, and this is good, which I have done also. So then we have several questions. I will put them a little bit together about the drilling. First of all, what is the cost in Canadian dollars per meter you are drilling? I expect it not too expensive in Mexico. Secondly, how long is then lasting your cash when you are going full throttle with 5 drill rigs? And the third question would be also concerning regarding the drills. 31,300 meters, will you finish them really by year end?
We intend to finish that by year end. That's our intention. I believe we will. Now our cash level, if we were to continue to go actually at this level, and we are looking to potentially add more rigs in the new year, I believe that by the end of 2021, we would have a cash balance in excess of $10 million Canadian still. So that would be Mexico's we'd be the most aggressive junior explorer in Mexico at that point. We'd be drilling on a completely underexplored district. So that expenditure, I think, is very high value investment. Now, the cost per meter is about $90 all in.
That's Canadian or US?
That would be US, yeah. You know, all in US at the
So we talk about 120 Canadian per meter. That's not that much, really.
No, it's certainly on the lower end of you know, and I say 90 because it's, you know, it's a bit of a you know, it's probably a bit of a larger estimate, but when we get down to it, as we become more and more efficient, it's probably coming way well under 90.
Okay, super. Then there is also a question regarding financing for the future. What conditions must be met for the private equity guys to start the next financing stage, if even needed?
Well, that's you know, something that we would be willing to discuss. We don't have any particular framework around that right now, but you know, I think, you know, we're a company that, you know, obviously we understand that this is a capital intensive business, and so we're always open to having conversations about you know, how best to progress the project.
Absolutely. Then a question to your drill results. That's an investor out of Bavaria. You have many very good drill results over, let's say, between 1, 3, 4 meters thickness. And the question is, what is economic for production? Is an economic production even possible with such low thicknesses or widths? He's asking.
Well, certainly 1 to 2 meters is definitely economic. That's a fine mining width. I would say half a meter at a kilo is probably still economic, and certainly anything less than that is in an open pit scenario is something that's worth pursuing. So it is funny. We've had comments in the market about narrow widths, and there's some criticism, I suppose, about narrow widths. But if you remember that hole 27 that we looked at on that section of Napoleon, that was 15 meters of 449. That's 449 is about 1.3 times the average reserve grade in Mexico. So it's and those average widths would be about 1 to 1.5 meters, I would think, of mining in Mexico. So it's really, you know, compares very favorably to other mines in Mexico.
Absolutely, super. So then we have several questions about production. But before we come to that, there's also a question from the same investor. What is your long-term strategy and business model?
Well, I suppose the long-term strategy, as I maybe touched on briefly at the beginning, is our vision is to become a low-cost, large-scale producer. And one of the best analogs for that, or one of the best comparisons for what I think is achievable here with Panuco and Vizsla, is the San Dimas mine. San Dimas mine is 80 kilometers to the north. It produces, in gold equivalent terms, it produces about 150,000 ounces of gold per annum. It's a very meaningful project in Mexico. It's exact same geology, exact same, you know, it was formed in the same event. It has so many characteristics that are similar to Vizsla that I believe something like that is achievable here with Vizsla. So keeping that in mind, keeping the large scale opportunity for production at Vizsla in mind, what I would say is that, you know, as a board and as a company, we've set our vision and our strategy to move from exploration into exercising those options, from exercising those options into creating a meaningful producer on a large scale in Mexico. And after that, I think that, you know, after we execute on that and create significant cash flow for the company, we would look to consolidate other opportunities and become, you know, a very large scale meaningful producer. And I think I pointed out with the team that we have there, I think that's certainly achievable.
Okay, super. So let's talk about now, focused onto a possible production start. You have already fantastic drill results. The drills are turning. You still have approximately something between 10, 12, 14,000 meters still to go until the year end. And if I calculate with, let's say, 120 Canadian dollars per meter, even if you would drill 50,000 meters next year, that's $6 million You have the money, of course, in the bank. That's not a problem. Would that 50,000, if we anticipate that you are doing that, just for a second, yeah? I know forward-looking statements for the regulators, but if you would do that, do you think if you take all together you have done this year and if you have done that next year, that you can produce a sufficient resource, and how high would that resource be that you say, okay, we can go in production and we can do, let's say, a 4 million ounce plus production per year?
It's a good question. Yes, and the short answer is yes.
I love that.
But you know, in seriousness, with 50,000 meters of drilling, certainly we would be able to put together a resource, certainly around that Napoleon ore shoot and the potential for the other new discoveries, the Papaya zone, other potential ore shoots on Napoleon. That would give us the comfortability likely to exercise that that option and own that mill and move forward. So yeah, so looking at that, thinking about, you know, where do we come up with the ounces and how many do we need? I think first of all, we're starting at Napoleon. We're starting at the original Napoleon discovery. If that turns out to be somewhere in the order of 10 to 20 to 30 million ounces of silver there, I mean, that's great. That's a fantastic start for an ore shoot, certainly. And if we reach that threshold of, let's say, 30 to 40 to 50 million ounces of silver, that certainly gives us the encouragement to exercise the option, move forward, and undertake that strategy of becoming a meaningful producer in Mexico.
Fantastic. So would it be realistic for you to say, okay, a 4 or 5 million ounce starting production, would that be possible with the 500 ton per day Coco mill alone?
I suppose it would, and you know, of course, I'm a bit hesitant to make projections like this without studies, and of course we would.
No, that's for sure. We are talking completely hypothetical.
So yes, I think that would be certainly possible. But in order to achieve that, you know, we have been thinking about ways to optimize the mill, expand the mill. You know, the output would be you know, increased, I believe, from 500 onward. So you know, looking at San Dimas again as a comparison, San Dimas has a 2,500 ton per day mill. Again, they produce about 150,000 ounces of gold equivalent ounces a year. So that 9 to 10 million area there, and you know, that would be a target for us in the medium term.
Okay, super. So for let's say realistically 2022, we could imagine, given everything goes the way you wanted and given you deliver the results, that you could be in production then 2022. That's realistic.
Yes, that would be realistic. Yeah.
Fantastic, super. Then let me see. Hang on. Oh yeah, how long are the waiting times for the results from the labs? Do you have also like 8 to 10 weeks? What I heard from the Yukon, for example, also British Columbia, etc.
It's a bit frustrating, certainly. Yeah, it's not that long. It's 4 to 6 weeks, but you know, as we came back from the COVID break, we were one of the first groups to be drilling there. We would have assays turned around, you know, within a week or two. It was fantastic. Now, of course, you know, every other, you know, many other companies have been financed, so we're competing a little bit more at the lab for results. So it's turned into about a 4 to 6 week head start there.
That's okay. Absolutely. Super. Let's come back shortly again to the production. I'm also going a little bit hypothetical because you said in your presentation with Napoleon, you could imagine to start with an open pit, for example, there. And also we saw that you have already 35 kilometers of underground development. So is that underground development in a shape that you can say, oh yes, maybe we have to fix a little bit, we have to make some supportings, etc. But it is in a shape that you can use it maybe for underground drilling also, and or for a further underground production. And would it be an idea to say when you go 2022 in production that you can pay out of production then 2023 to 2026 the $19 million which are due then? Is that maybe a plan?
So certainly, yes, that the opportunity for an open pit exists at Napoleon, and of course that lowers the cost of mining, lowers the cost of increases the profitability. Now the 35 kilometers of total underground mine workings, some of them you may not want to put your head in. They're quite old, and but a very large portion of those are in good shape that you would see, up at in BC in the Golden Triangle. They're similar to that type of working, and they've been done well, good ventilation, things like that. Now, safety, as I mentioned, is so important to our team. It's top priority. So we don't send anybody into those underground workings unless they are safe. And we have been working with the group that does the shoring, does everything that we need to make sure that that's safe. So, we have done surveying ourselves underground, and that is something that we would look at in terms of, the ability to utilize those workings. And so certainly, yeah, it gives us a bit of a head start to that development.
Mm-hmm. Okay, super. As you said, you are consolidating from, let's say, two major mining families or several mining families, yeah? Have you had so far any problems? Do you own the surface and the mineral rights? And do you have any maturities on that, or is it just given? And of course, do you have all permits in place that you can really say, yes, we can go in production?
So to answer the permit question, no, actually. There's one permit that the Mexican government doesn't like to give to transfer. So you have to apply for this one permit, and that's the explosives permit. Mm-hmm. And I think the reason is that they don't want groups running around Mexico with mining explosives. So
maybe not a good idea.
So that is something that you need to get from the Mexican military, and my understanding is that's about a 6-month, it's a relatively short time frame there. But all of the other permits that exist around the operation of the mill, the HEDO agreements, things like that, those are all come with the option. And so far, as we execute those, we inherit those permits. Now, the families that we're working with are, have been excellent to work with. I spent about a year down in Mexico with them and getting to know them, and so we don't have any problems. They're grateful that we're investing this money into the project. I think it's something that when to see something like that be developed is quite encouraging. For these families. So yeah, we have an excellent relationship with them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, super. So what makes your company better than every other explorer in Mexico?
It's three things, I suppose, but the third is probably the real differentiator, of course, is that pathway to production. It's just, if you were to ask a company like Silvercrest or Great Bear or any of these massive, fantastically performing stocks on the back of high-grade discoveries like we've made at Panuco, at Napoleon, would you like to buy a mill and permits and all that for $23 million? I think they would all say yes, and have that shortcut into production. So really, that's what makes us better.
Mm-hmm. Okay, super. So then comes a little bit of a political question. That's also interesting. Do you expect any major changes in the commodity prices when political changes will take place worldwide? I think politics are so in favor for gold and silver. It was never better, to be honest.
I was talking about this morning with somebody about the $7.3 trillion plan that Joe Biden has now for healthcare, green, all of that. I mean, that's all commodities.
Infrastructure, whatever, you name it, right?
Yeah. And then we have this election being contested, and how are you going to fund all these stimulus events, and how will you fund the pathway to recovery from a global pandemic? It's all money printing. So as far as I'm concerned, this is going to be the decade of gold and commodities, and so I couldn't be more excited about the future for the prices.
Yeah, and I think especially also for silver, because it's really interesting. A lot of people don't know that you have in an e-vehicle, for example, and also in a hybrid, you have between 2.5 up to 4-5 ounces of silver. And so the demand is, and I have this from the Silver Institute, this is really interesting. They see by 2025 an additional demand of 150 million ounces per year silver for e-mobility. And that is, I must say, that's really interesting.
Well, that's such a significant portion of annual production, and production, is being bought all the time by the funds. The exchange traded commodities, which is just, you kind of look at the silver price and you have to scratch your head a little bit and you wonder, how is this sustainable? How is the price right now sustainable? So I certainly, I'm so happy to be in silver as a commodity, because it has the currency upside that gold does, of course, but it also has this industrial upside that you see as stimulus comes in. Like I said, the $7.3 trillion investment there, or the Silk Road in China, that's silver. But at the same time, they're devaluing the dollar to finance that, and so that gives you the upside on the currency side. So it's just I think it's a perfect storm.
Absolutely, I see it the same way. Oh, there's one more question popped up just here. If the silver price would come back to $15 per ounce, would you still think that that your project would be possible to produce?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I looked at in our due diligence on this. We looked at kind of comparable projects, looked at the cost for mining, and we did a very serious due diligence investigation on what levels of profitability and what price levels do we need to make this work, and I could see that maybe at $10 or $11 you'd be breaking even. So there's a lot of safety in around that.
Yeah, fantastic, great. So let me shortly recheck that I did not miss something here. Yep, that looks quite good. That is good. We've done. Yeah. Super. All right. We have answered all questions here. Also on my list, everything is done. Fantastic. Michael, thank you very much. Great presentation. Thanks for answering all those questions. And I probably have to buy some more stock. You convinced me again.
and if anybody has any questions at all, please, that maybe weren't answered here, please feel free to contact us through the website. Very happy to speak to investors and shareholders and if anyone has any questions.
Yes, of course. And also you can send the questions to us via email in German, if you like. We will also translate this and ask Michael and the team about all your questions you might have. So thank you very much. All the best to Vancouver. Stay healthy. That's the most important thing these days. And have a great day. Thanks for taking the time and the opportunity. And the replay will be available tomorrow, I think by lunchtime, our time here in Switzerland. Okie dokie. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was our virtual roadshow with Vizsla Resources and Michael Konnert, the CEO. Yeah, you heard it, on the fast track to production. The company is $30 million in cash. A super large shareholder, for example, is also Eric Sprott. Very good institutions are in the management. Insiders hold a lot of stock. And that's exactly what we like to see. Skim in the game. They paid for their shares, of course, also. And what we like to see is really by 2022, this company in production. Also, what I like is 500 ton per day, the El Coco mill. Michael named it in the presentation. With that mill, you probably can do up to 4 or 5 million silver ounces per year. That would be a fantastic production. And if we do shortly still some calculation with, let's say, approximately $10 cost per ounce and at a $30 silver price, by then probably we talk about a $20 pre-tax margin. This is just from my side. This is not from the company. So I think we can easily say between 80 and 100 million pre-tax profit is possible. And this with a market cap of $170 million today. Just do the math. I like it. I will buy definitely some more stock. I am a shareholder of the company, and I think the guys are doing a great job here. So thanks for watching us. I wish you all the best. Please stay healthy in those shaky times wherever you are located, and take care of yourself. And we really look forward, hopefully then 2021, latest by summer, to see you in person then, when we can restart hopefully again our personal road shows. All the best. Thanks for watching us, and bye-bye from Switzerland and to Vancouver. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.